$2,420. So before we had our threshold for student travel, the reporting threshold was like $1,500, but then on our board trustee and employee side, we updated that to the $2,500. So we made the two sides more consistent, and also the employee and trustee travel, we updated the meals into a per diem model. So then we also brought this model into the student travels to provide a more equitable solution. So those are probably the three major big changes that we did for the AP. And I'll take any questions.
Professor Indor?
I'm wondering, because I did not look at it, what kind of field trips and excursions these are.
Oh, they are inclusive of all kinds of travel that our students involved. So they could include our athletes traveling into games. It also could include a field trip from a class, if a class that's the curriculum include a travel into a museum or some sort of place. It also includes associate students. We have advisors that travels to meetings. So any type of travel arrangement that include a student.
So it does not include classes which don't have travel as part of their curriculum.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have Professor Serapian.
Hello. I have a couple of questions for the AP specifically. A few of them are just tiny, but just for clarification. For on page 2 under all trips and excursions, for the new B under 1, are all three required? Does it include 3 signatures? Because it says program or instructor lead, dean, so or program manager, and then it has cost center manager. So is it and the cost center manager? So is it 3 signatures?
Okay, before you answer, we
Sure.
are out of time, so I'm gonna need someone to make a motion to extend the time. I saw your hand first, Professor Indor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by, I saw Susan Bauer's hand first. Okay, if there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? John, I'm going to assume that's not an objection. Okay, great. Then we can extend. Oh, I didn't hear by how much time though, Professor Indor. 5 more minutes. Awesome. So we are extended by 5 more minutes. Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk fast. Okay, so so answer your question, we actually got some help from Dr. Cobbs regarding this because her area does a lot of travel. So
Sure.
what we gather is that it's not all 3 signatures are required. Actually, it depends on the type of travel. The approval chain may be a little bit different. So if it's like a field trip associated with a class, so then it would need to have the dean approve, and then the area that pays for it, sometimes associate student pays for a lot of these field trips, so then they will have to approve also from a money perspective. So then you're counting at those will be 2 signatures. So it just depends on which type of field trip it is, so it might be a little bit different, but not all 3 are required.
Then I suggest just making that language a little clearer, because it's
Okay.
either missing a conjunction or it's just not clear. So I would just specify, so that would be 1. For 1C, I noticed that there's assistant superintendent specified, but we also have an associate vice president, Dr. Bolin. And so is she not allowed to sign off depending on what programs are under her, now that she's going to have a lot housed under her? So that might be one thing.
Okay.
That's just one. I have a couple more. Sorry. 1D.
Sure.
Also, I know you mentioned that the dollar amount changed to be in line with others. Is it? I know there's lots of. So it says incurring expenses that. So it's exceeds 2,500. I just want to make sure. So if it exceeds 2,500, then that okay. Actually, that one I answered myself, JK. Sorry about that. And the last thing for number 2A, I love that it says it's going to be indicated in the course and schedule of classes. However, can I advocate that for the schedule of classes, it's in the notation section and not just within the CRN. So I know that in schedule of classes, if you click CRN, that's when, but students don't look at that. So is there any way it could be added as a notation and made that very clear? And that is for students who sometimes don't know what they're signing up for.
Okay, I'm gonna have to investigate who will be able to help me with that. So if you know anybody, please let me know.
Scheduling, but yes, we can talk
Scheduling,
about
okay.
that. I would just really recommend that. Okay, that's
Sure.
it. Sorry.
Thank you, Professor Tiber.
Yeah, thank you. I was just looking at 1F, and I was thinking this would change some things that we currently do, like if students can't use their private cars. For example, sometimes students go to the Huntington Library or the Museum of Tolerance and use their private cars. So how does this change our practice or our past practice there?
So this is the piece we actually had to go to our insurance provider and ask them to validate this piece, whether if something happens. I mean, if we go from PCC to Huntington, I doubt anything will happen,
Yeah.
but it's just that if we have folks that are traveling to like Orange County to somewhere kind of far, this could be problematic. So their recommendation is to go away with students driving. What we're concerned is students driving each other in somebody's personal vehicle or a staff member driving students in their personal vehicle. So if something happens, the process of claim is that they actually wouldn't be able to claim PCC's insurance. They have to claim the driver's insurance. So that creates some struggle, and also it creates a conflict that we just don't necessarily want the driver to be taking that on. So the best way to avoid any type of situation like that is just to contract with a campus shuttle and to have campus shuttle the class there. And we do have shuttle buses that just park there. Normally they'll just stay there and not do anything. So this will be a good opportunity for us to just have them do something.
Thank you. And another question, so for a course that the whole course is a field trip, for example, the trip to the Shakespeare Festival in Oregon, where many students drive their cars there, or they carpool there. Some of them fly. So what would be the implications for that trip?
So then for that trip, the best and the cleanest way and the best way to from a coverage perspective is for everyone to fly there. And then the district would arrange transportation to transport from the airport to the destination, and then vice versa. So then just to everyone travel as a group.
Got it.
Okay. So what you're saying is
I'm going
no
to stop
more.
you. I'm going to stop you right there, John, because we're out of time again. I need a motion to extend by, I got Professor Indoors, extend by 5 minutes. Do I have a second? Jose, a second one. Awesome. If there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Veronica, I'm going to assume that's not an objection. Okay, then we are extended by 5 more minutes. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
So just to clarify, the administration is no longer going to want students to drive their personal cars to the Huntington Gardens or to Ashland. Is that correct?
Yeah, I actually presented this piece to the executive cabinet, and then we also presented this piece at the college council. So there was no objection there as far as this transportation arrangement is concerned. And I also explained to them like our concern from a coverage perspective, it's really in everyone's best interest to minimize any type of potential risk, especially to the driver that we're not intending them to carry on. So I think everyone is in sync.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next we have Dr. Jaramillo.
Yeah, I guess my question was around the same issue, because a lot of our classes, we have meet at the location. So you're saying that is not okay anymore. Is that
Um,
correct?
if they are meeting at the location, but we're trying to avoid is students driving each other or faculty member or staff member driving a student. So if they're just going there by themselves, and they're welcome to go there by themselves, and whichever means they can Uber there, they can drive their own vehicle there. What we're trying to avoid is students riding students, and it's made it like and it's a requirement of the course to attend. So then they made this arrangement amongst themselves to get there. And also we're trying to avoid the situation of the staff member taking students in their own personal vehicle, because these situations are really not covered in our insurance policy. So we just want to discourage that. But if they're just going to, let's say, oh, we're going to meet at certain place, and everyone's okay with that, and then they can drive their own, provide their own transportation there, you can continue to do so. But we have to be like equity minded. If there's a student that's not able to provide their own transportation, then we rather provide district transportation to take them there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. But I think if you're saying you're going to meet somewhere, then it is kind of required that they be there, right?
Yeah. So then in that case, we probably would just reach out to campus shuttle and then have them provide a shuttle bus to take everyone there.
Okay, Susan Bauer.
Yeah, I just had a question on 1G. So we're removing the statement that we used to have about a supervising instructor or staff member accompanying the trip. So is that opening us to scheduling field trips that there's no supervision? That I'm not seeing a replacement for that within this.
Let me see. I believe we have a portion that talks about chaperone. Just locate that piece real fast.
Yeah, I don't see a chaperone as being the same as a supervising instructor, though. So that's kind of my question.
Okay, so we intended to replace that with the third paragraph on page 1. The district will, at the discretion of the superintendent president or designated transfer student, district employee, and chaperone by use of district vehicle. And then there's also a the last paragraph on page 1. It talks about the responsibility and roles about the chaperone, also with intent to student and student conduct. So let me know if that doesn't do the trick.
Yeah, I don't see those as being the same thing, but I'll take this back to my division so we can discuss it. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, if we're open, this is why we're having this process. If it doesn't do the trick, we can pull back.
Okay, next we have Dr. Carmen Stevens.
Hi, I have 2 questions. One, you mentioned the shuttle. Is PCC's shuttle currently accessible for mobility challenges? So is it currently accessible? And then
I believe so, but let me double check that with our transportation division. I believe that we do have shuttle buses that have mobility solutions. If not, then we have providers that we have worked with in the past that we can contract with.
okay, thank you. Awesome. To look into that. And the second thing is, does this also apply to others that need to go with the class? So for example, if there's a student in the class that need interpreters, do they have to ride on the shuttles as well, or can they transport themselves to the class meeting that's off campus?
It would be probably what makes sense. I mean, if I get to choose, I'll probably prefer everyone to be in the same space, because especially if they're providing an assistant to a student that it doesn't need, then it would be probably better for this individual to be with the students on the transportation.
Okay, so we are out of time and there are no more extensions on this item. Thank you, Jesse, for coming to share with us, and we'll have you back at our next Senate meeting, or hopefully we can get a vote on this. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, the next item we have up is AP BP 3821, and that will be on our acquisition of arts. And Bobby Abrams, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Lopez. We're putting this BP and AP forward because we are anticipating the need for it in the future, especially the BP. This was originally written when we accepted artworks just for the sculpture garden. Now that we're anticipating artwork around the campus, we decided it needed to be updated in its language to accept that. So there's a strikeout version in your board docs, but I'll read it because it's a little, sometimes a little confusing with all those strikeouts. So the new policy will read, the district can accept works of art for display on the various campuses of Pasadena City College. All art accepted and placed on the campus will take into account respect for the diverse beliefs and values of the public, period. Any questions on the BP at this time?
I don't see any hands. So that's a no.
Okay, then I will go on to the AP. The AP is a little bit more extensive because it does outline the procedures and the committee that we are proposing be in charge of this. I actually made a proposal and then the executive committee reviewed it and made a slight change to the original one. There is a campus art advisory committee outlined in section 1A of the AP. And then there's also an installation committee that needs to identify, of course, specifically where a piece of art would go. And the executive committee decided that it was best for the facilities committee to function in that capacity. So those are the two groups that will be working on the actual receiving of the art, working with facilities. If there is a piece of artwork, let's say it's commissioned, then there is an art advisory committee that will work on that. So it's outlined pretty well in the AP, and I'm happy to answer any questions there as well.
Professor Walker.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me now. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can barely hear you. I might need someone to repeat the question.
Oh, I didn't ask the question yet. Just
Oh, okay.
It may be a two-parter. How is the artwork being chosen and who's on the committee?
That was how is the artwork being chosen and who is on the committee?
If you refer to the AP in 1A, the committee consists of, it'll be composed of not more than 9 members, including 2 members of the community at large with experience and expertise in assessing the quality of art. And those will be nominated by the Board of Trustees. There's not a specific person or persons nominated at this point. There'll be 1 member of the foundation board of directors nominated by the foundation, the executive director of the foundation, 2 members of the visual arts and media studies faculty nominated by the academic senate, the district superintendent president, the dean of visual arts and media studies, and the executive director of facilities. All members of the committee will be approved by the Board of Trustees, and the committee will be chaired by the district superintendent president. The committee is advisory to the Board of Trustees. So at the time that we have artwork either desired for acquisition or a donor perhaps has said, we'd like to donate this piece of art, then the committee will be put together at that time. What I've seen happen over the decade that I've been here is that the committee was identified, and then about the time that you needed the committee, 3 of those people had already retired, 2 of them don't live in Pasadena anymore. So I'm recommending that the offices be identified in the AP, and then at such time as we actually have to make a decision about a piece of artwork, that we pull the committee together for that purpose. Does that answer your question?
Okay, I see your hand up, Professor Serapian. However, we're out of time on this. I'll need a motion to extend time. And I see Professor Indor, she has her 5 minutes up. And I see a second by Ken Simon. Is that a second, Professor Simon? Thank you. If there are no objections, I'd like to approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections to extend this by 5 minutes? Seeing, ooh. Sheila Rose, is that an objection? Okay, well then, seeing no objections, we have an additional 5 minutes. Thank you, Professor Serapian.
Okay, so hello, I have a couple quick questions.
Sure.
So for the AP, when I'm looking under 2A, no, 2B,
Okay.
3, I'm just a little confused. You mentioned in the BP, a lot of the references to the Boone Garden was eliminated, and then in this one it's specific. Are we meaning it to be specific in this one?
In 2B,
B3.
I see the superintendent president within a reasonable period of time, not to exceed 8 weeks, will convene a meeting at the campus. Order to attain committee's recommendation. Let's see. Oh, I see down in 3. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, is it specific only to the Boone Sculpture Garden or anywhere?
That's a good question. You know, let me double check that. That may have been actually a leftover statement that simply was not updated.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I do know this though. The Boone Sculpture Garden actually does have a statement of philosophy and scope. That we do focus on just for that garden. It was created at the time the garden was designed. Let me circle back and make sure that that is correct. Thank you for that question.
Of course. And then another one for under the relocating and removing of artwork. So a lot of the points are typically about the logistics of it, the danger, things like that. And I know that part of the installation has to also, or the acceptance has to do with the philosophy around it. Now, what happens if the artist in question, it emerges that that person's philosophy after the art has been accepted is completely against what PCC is all about. I remember we talked about that with the naming of buildings last year in Senate. So I wonder if there's something stated about this regarding the removal of art based on, like, what if someone comes out to be a Klansman, I mean, after the fact. And I say this in an extreme, it's true. I think PCC should have some sort of something in the AP regarding that when it comes to approval, if we have to include it in all things. So I wonder if there's a statement there.
So in essence, like an appeal process, is that what you're suggesting?
An appeal, or I mean, grounds for removal as opposed to relocating. If they no longer, if art is now being created by this person after the fact that is against the essence of what PCC's missions and values are, why not put that in already? Just a hopeful preparation that it will never happen.
Okay. I like that suggestion.
Okay. And then it's just like a really quick 2. So I'll email you on that one. It's like it just said to coordinate. That's all.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Serapian. And now we have Sheila Rose.
Thank you. Bobby, I brought this up before in College Council with other BPs about somehow putting language in to ensure that the acquisition of art aligns with our recently approved values as a college. Art has the potential to do a lot to achieve those values that we've committed to in order to, be an anti-racist institution and start to represent our student population. So I'm wondering if we can add some language in there about aligning with our mission and values.
Specifically, are you looking for the art itself or the artist or both?
I'm thinking of the art.
Okay.
My concern is just the makeup of the committee when we have these kind of relying on expertise can result in reproducing privilege and a singular perspective and point of view, and replicating that rather than being inclusive of perspectives that have not been represented on our campus. And so I think this AP is a real opportunity to start to correct that.
Okay.
So I'm hoping there can be some language in there.
Okay. Thank you for both of those. Taylene and Sheila, if you're okay, I would like to maybe have a follow-up call with you to make sure I'm getting the crux of that, because I think those are both great suggestions.
No
Yes.
problem. It's Tallene. Tallene.
Colleen, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bobby.
Okay, thank you, you both. And I see Professor Francoso.
Hi, just quick question. How are we defining public art? Is this art that's going to be outside in kind of outside installations on campus, or is this going to be art that's in hallways, or yeah, just interested in that.
That is a great question, because it gets tricky, because you can sit in someone's office, and I have several pieces of artwork just hanging right in my office. But my office, while it's on the campus, it's not a public space, it's my office. So it's really the public communal spaces of the campus. So if someone wants to, in their cubicle, hang a piece of, artwork, that would not be governed by this AP. It's the things that are in public places.
Okay, so stuff that's outside.
Outside or inside. It could be,
in hallways.
let's say, the hallway in the C building.
In hallways. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we are out of time on this. I have a question, but we need a motion to extend. Thank you, Professor Endor, for extension for 5 minutes. Can I have a second? Thank you, Jose. Appreciate that. If there are no objections, we can we can approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections to extending this by 5 more minutes? Seeing none, this item is approved for 5 more minutes. So my question is, well, it's more of a statement. The concern is that there are places like, it goes to what Professor Rose was saying. I know in the Black Student Success Center, we have artwork that it's a public space. We have artwork that was commissioned, and I don't know how we would have gotten that artwork that reflected that space with the setup of the committee. So again, I just want to put that in your mind as you have these conversations about inclusion. And the people who occupy these spaces, I think, really should be involved as well, especially students. And that's it. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding this item? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Bobby Abrams. And we will invite you back to our next meeting for our second read and hopefully a vote.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So next, we'll move on to item H, old business, and that is AP 4230. And Sheila Rose will talk to us about that AP. You have the floor, Sheila.
Thank you so much, Gina. So we're very excited to bring this BP and AP 4230 to the Senate. We formed a subcommittee of the Student Success Committee at the end of the last school year, with the express purpose of reviewing all of our student-facing policies and procedures using our equity-minded guiding questions for policy review and creation, which were created by the Student Success Committee. And our plan is to intentionally revise all of our policies and procedures with student equity in mind. And so this was our inaugural policy that we have revised by the subcommittee through that process. And it is appropriate that it is grade appeal, which is something that is a critical issue for our students to be able to appeal their grades if they feel, if they disagree with the outcome. So first, I would like to share the revisions to, are we doing, sorry, AP and BP separately, Gina? Okay, I'm going to do them together because that makes sense. So here is the Sorry, Zoom's not working for me. Apologies, I'm having technical difficulties. Let's see if I'm able to share my screen. So hopefully you can see the grade appeal, and the new language is in bold, so you can see that dispute has been changed to disagreement. And we added the word equitable. And we do have a student on our committee, and so Julia Rousseau, our Vice President for Associate Students of Student Equity, helped us with these revisions. Are there any questions specifically about the board policy? I'll give everyone a minute to read it over if they hadn't held it in their memory. Okay, I don't see any questions, so let me move on to the administrative procedure, which details the process for a student to conduct a grade appeal. So let me share my screen with that. This is a much longer document. Many of the changes were first to address that this was an outdated policy. The last time it was revised was back in 2008. Many of the locations that students were asked to visit in order to pick up paperwork were no longer the existing locations. There was also an issue with not mentioning that many of the documents are available on the website. We also revised the language in order to be more student friendly, kind of getting rid of legalese and archaic language and making sure that students would be able to understand the full policy. The other thing that we have done is make sure that the students are clear that they have an advocate who can be with them in order to clarify the process, not to determine the merit, but to be there in order to help walk them through. We consulted with Dean Dr. Rebecca Cobb from the Office of Student Life, who helped us with that language, as she often serves in the role of the advocate. So I am wondering if there are any questions about. I believe so.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if there are any questions. Yeah.
Okay, we have Professor Serapian.
Sorry.
Colleen.
Sorry, just one of those days. How do you define a class day? So a lot of times in the time frame it says 10 class days. I don't know what that means. I think I should.
Yeah, I think it's any day when there is class in session. So whether that's a Saturday, so what would not be counted as a class day is a Sunday when no classes are offered, or a time when classes are not in session, such as during spring break or winter break or something like that.
Do we count that only in the semesters, or does it also include the summer intersession?
I believe it also includes intersessions.
As long as the courses are in session, so not those few weeks that classes will not be housed or not held.
We tried to balance between giving students enough time to go through the process, but making sure that our faculty members, we have a number of, as you know, 800-ish adjunct faculty, and making sure that they were still reachable and that we had up-to-date contact information with them. And so, yes, that's why we're including the intersessions.
No, that's totally fine. I just wanted to see if the class days is going to be put in this document and then perhaps on a form, or to be told to students so that they understand what class day means.
Okay,
sure. I think that's what I mean.
Yep,
I'm not having questions. They might have that question, just to be very clear. And then I could be wrong, but I know that there's mention of the Vice President of Student and Learning Services. I think Dr. O's name is VP of Student Services. I could be wrong. Just there's
okay.
a mention of it. That's all.
Yep, we can fix that if it is incorrect.
It's in 2A.
I will double check.
Thank you.
It is incorrect.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay, Professor Indoor.
Can you remind me of the amount of time that a student has to do this?
So we had a conversation at College Council and determined that 3 months was the appropriate amount of time. We originally had 6 in the draft that we brought to College Council. However, our Vice President of Instruction, Dr. Laura Ramirez, pointed out that that could make it challenging because there's 2 processes. There's the informal, which requires the student having a conversation with the faculty member, and then the formal, where it goes to the dean, and then if not resolved to the Vice President of Instruction, and then if not resolved to the president, and then if not resolved to the Board of Trustees. And so because those processes can be long, we limited it to 3 months for the second formal process once the informal process was completed. So 6 months for the informal and then 3 months for the formal.
So the student has a limited amount of time, and also there's a limited amount of time to get back to the student.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all of those time limits are in place and spelled out in the AP.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Okay, are there any additional questions? Professor Stephen, before we go on, we are out of time on this item. I would need to entertain a motion to extend by 5 more minutes. Okay, I see Lindsay Reese. Sorry, Professor Endor, you can second though. Do I have a second? Okay, Professor Guerrero. Thank you. If there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this is approved by unanimous consent, and we have an additional 5 minutes for this item. Professor Dr. Stevens.
I just have a real quick comment. In the second form, which I think was the BP, the language saying dispute was crossed out and disagreement was then used. But in the first one, dispute and disagreement were side by side without it being crossed out. So I don't know if we just want to edit that part in the
Yes.
AP.
We will make sure it is clear and that there's only one word. Thanks, Carmen.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any additional questions on this AP? Seeing none, I'm ready to entertain a motion to approve this AP with corrections. Do I have a motion? Lindsay Reese.
Gita.
Was that your motion, Lindsay?
Yes, that was my motion to
Okay,
approve
awesome.
with the recommendations.
Thank you. And I think I saw Professor Endor as a second. Is that correct? Thank you. If there are no additional questions, comments, or objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this AP is approved.
Thank you, everyone.
Great. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our information item. And before we move on, I just wanted to remind committees and committee chairs that we are going to be asking each subcommittee of the Academic Senate to give us an update periodically throughout the semester. And we have two on our list today. So we are standing firm by that. So yay, thank you. Next, we have our student services update with Dr. Olivo. 5.
Thank you, everyone. This could be a nice relaxing break for you just to listen to me and this information that I have today for our transfer center. So transfer season is here. Tamika is feeling a little under the weather today, and I can relate because I'm just getting over a cold. So everyone, don't forget, take your emergency. So informed by our student equity plan, our transfer goals are to increase our support of our Black transfer students, our Latinx transfer students, to increase our UC student transfer rate, our private student transfer rate, and then CSU. And the transfer center helps students navigate the transfer process, which can be quite complex. And just in case you didn't know, it takes a student around 30 to-do list items in order to address all of the things they need to do in order to transfer. And imagine our students are doing this while they're enrolled in your classes, doing all of your homework, preparing for tests, writing papers, and many of them are also working and helping their family. So what can you do to help? I thought of a few things. You can share the Transfer Center website in one of your class sessions. Share your transfer story if you transferred from a community college to a four-year, or if you didn't, then share a transfer story of a student you've worked with in the past. Tell a student it will be so exciting when you transfer. Sometimes when a faculty member recognizes the talent in a student that they have and the potential they have for transfer, you may be the first person telling them this. So consider doing that in one of your office meetings. Also, you can share transfer videos that we've embedded on our Transfer Center webpage. And right here is one of those videos. We have featured our PCC alumni who work here at the college. For example, this is a video of Sam Reed, and he tells his story of being a student here, transferring to Cal State LA, and how we helped him as a college to do this. I would also say you can have students free write regarding any of the themes that emerge in these experiences, these videos. So those are just some of the ways I figured you as faculty members can really help plug our transfer center and get students to understand we have 1 month until the deadline for transfer. And in a little bit, I will have you meet one of our newest staff members, Mr. Jahi Bonds. He helps to lead our Transfer Bound and Clave programs aimed specifically at supporting our students and our equity plan goals. So one of those programs is Transfer Bound. And Transfer Bound is a program that's designed for our Black students specifically. So if you have students in your courses, you can plug our Transfer Bound information. And all of this is located on our Transfer Center website. We would really appreciate your partnership in helping our students to see all of these amazing opportunities. And then here is Chicanos and Latinos Advancing in the Values of Education, also called Clave. Clave means key in Spanish. So one of the keys to helping our Latinx students transfer is to please connect them to this info. And we have many signature events and partnerships. I also wanted to thank Instruction, especially the folks over in business, for partnering with Student Services to create a Cal State LA Bachelor of Science in Business program offered on nights and weekends at PCC. And I just wanted to mention it here in case you have students in any of your courses who you see are, interested in business, if you could just please plug this as well. And so that's my Transfer Center update and transfer season update. We need all of you teachers. You are in contact with our students more than any of us. So we really appreciate you passing along this information to our students. I also have some general updates from Student Services. One of my directors of admissions and records is out on medical leave. So if you need support in the next 3 months, you can contact Olivia Liu. And you can also utilize the same extension that you would have contacted Arlene on. It's just Olivia will answer that phone now. We also have a new EOP and Desk Care and Foster Youth Director, Carlos Tito Altamirano, a new Financial Aid Director, Mr. David Hull, and a new Student Health Center Director, Mindy Throop. And I wanted to make sure all of you are aware of the upcoming events that we have in store for you. Tomorrow is our LGBTQ mixer from 12 to 1, located in person in the Center for the Arts North Courtyard. And then we also have a Dia de los Muertos community ofrenda, a community altar. And we invite you to participate with the Office of Student Life. And you can stop by starting today to decorate and honor your loved ones. I know during this pandemic period, I've lost a few loved ones and it's been really difficult. So I look forward to doing this as a part of a healing process and join our students in that. As was mentioned earlier, we have our PCC Black Excellence Mixer this week as well. So we're really looking forward to joining everyone in the Creveling Lounge. And then movie night on Friday, in honor of Dia de los Muertos, we have Coco, offered by the Puente Project. And then our mobile food pantry is back. So you can join us in Lancers Pass. Please let students know. We have our LA Regional Food Bank here November 2nd. And we have diapers in the Lancer Pantry, size 3 and 5. And then November 14th, we will be uniting to prevent suicide. As I mentioned in our last gathering together, we did have a student pass, unfortunately. And in his honor, we're going to continue to make sure we do everything possible to let our students know about our mental health services available at PCC. And then just a final plug, this is why we all need to focus on helping our students transfer. For the year 17-18, my other computer that has 18-19 data is updating, so I couldn't get that data for you. But you can see here, PCC is ranked number 15th in the state for African-American transfers to the Cal State University system. And in order to increase these numbers, it takes our practices to change. So please, please consider mentioning transfer services in your courses. And then for transfers to the UC, we're ranked 13th in the state. To me, we can do way better than this, and we need your partnership and support to do it. And then for Latinx transfers to the CSU, we're ranked number 6. And for transfers to the UC, we're ranked number 3. And so in order to do better, PCC, we just need to unite and make sure we do everything possible to help direct and guide our students to the transfer center. Thank you so much. If you have questions, feel free to contact me and I'll send this to Dr. Lopez and hopefully y'all can get a copy of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Olivo. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item. It's an update by Professor Ken Simon for the Faculty Development Committee. Professor Simon, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. So this is a brief update about what we've been doing on the Faculty Development Committee. Of course, we're the committee that works with the Flex Committee and with professional development in general, just dealing with faculty professional development issues. Our main project has been something new called the Faculty Peer Resource Network. I don't have the website launched yet to show it to you, but this is going to function as a conduit, partly as a conduit for content that will be hosted through the Vision Resource Center, content created by faculty for faculty. And this can be anything from a simple how-to video to offering more advanced expertise to each other. So examples, one thing that's already in the works is a video tutorial on using Screencast-O-Matic as a tool for online or hybrid instruction. We may also have things, these are just examples, ideas, how to apply for funding to attend a conference, what are the steps? Teaching to prevent academic dishonesty, supporting our veteran students, or using citation management software to manage research sources and citations. That's a tongue twister. So it's not just going to be a library of videos that are static though. It will also function as a resource center to connect colleagues with colleagues based on their expertise. So for example, a recorded piece of instruction can be followed up with that faculty member offering up a live office hour or making themselves available for an individual consultation. And the result of that consultation or potentially viewing a video would be PD credit In the case of a consultation, the credit would be for both parties. So the website's going to have a sign-up form to express interest, a form for requesting topics, things you'd be interested in having a colleague teach you about. And it will also hopefully have a selection of links by topic or interest area to content that is available already. So all of this is going to be soft launching very soon, and the content will build over time. It'll take some time to build it up. So that is coming. The other main work that we're doing, aside from approving requests for travel funding, we are clarifying the rules about that funding. In the recent past, the word conference has been the key to approving that funding, right? So if someone says, I'm going to a workshop, that was a red flag. This is a conference. This is not a conference, it's a workshop. We're working on broadening the language, opening that up. It'll never be, we can never approve funding if you're using something to step up in rank or salary, but we're hoping to open up that funding so that we can fund something that is clearly a workshop or seminar and not a full-fledged conference. So that is also in progress. And when the policies are updated, I will be sure to make an announcement on that. And that's what's happening on our committee.
Thank you, Ken. Are there any questions for Professor Simon? Well, thank you again for your hard work and for stepping up on that committee. We appreciate you. Okay, next we have Thea Alvarado giving us an update on faculty online education. You have the floor, Thea.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for having me. So the membership of the committee includes 15 faculty from divisions across campus, and we just developed our 5 goals for this academic year. The first one is long, so stick with me. To advocate for professional development opportunities, pedagogical strategies, third-party tools and platforms with ongoing training, student support services, and access to hardware and internet across all locations to promote equity in online classes. Our second goal is to facilitate opportunities for students to get one-on-one support in Canvas tools and online learning strategies. Our third goal is to advocate for a balance of face-to-face and online offerings across campus. Fourth is to facilitate, to the extent possible, a Form D for every class and full D certification for every instructor, because if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that we should be prepared for emergencies. And then our last goal is to advocate for a local POCR system, which is a peer online course review system, to facilitate entry into the statewide course exchange by the CVC OEI. Our big task that we're working on right now is we're revising our DE faculty handbook. It's probably 10 years old now, and it was actually developed as a supplement to the Academic Senate's faculty handbook. And I would really like to encourage the Academic Senate to form an ad hoc committee and to work on updating your handbook as well, because the last time that it was revised was 2011 to 2012. And as our committee can attest, it's a pretty big project to get that updated. One big thing that I do as the chair of the faculty committee is I collaborate with the Campus Distance Education Committee. So the Campus DE Committee just formalized its membership, and we are a subcommittee now of the College Council. We have 3 faculty positions, 3 staff positions, 3 manager positions, and then we have 2 student representatives as well. One big thing we're working on is continuity, because the college just transitioned the distance education department to new management leadership. And then lastly, as part of that transition, the Dean of Distance Education and myself, we wrote requests for 2 faculty instructional designer positions and submitted that as part of the faculty prioritization process, because this is really a resource that we need for our faculty, our students, and our staff. It's a position that used to exist at our college. And with the growth in online courses, not just during the pandemic, but within the past 5 years, we believe that it's one that's still badly needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Thea. Are there any questions about this committee or this update? Okay, well, thank you again. We appreciate you coming and giving us this update. Thank you for your hard work. Okay, now we have Professor Talene Seropian Who's going to give us an update on the partnership resource team? Colleen?
Thank you so much. So hello, everybody. It's not like you haven't heard from me a bunch today, but what I would like to do is talk to you a little bit about the partnership resource team, which if you were in Senate last year, you definitely heard me talk about, and hopefully if you weren't in Senate last year, you heard from your Senate representatives. The partnership resource team or I'll be referring to that a lot as PRT, is an initiative that PCC applied for back in December 2020, and we were selected and approved, and it's a year-long commitment where we have committed to focus on 2 areas of focus, which are the things that we as PCC have, I think we all collectively agree we need to improve on, which is our collegiality and our communication. There's been lots of work done in the past to improve it, and obviously there's always opportunities to improve. And so I am the co-lead along with Dr. Tuktuk Dangdaraj from she was the Dean of English. And so she and I have been working together, and this initiative ends in July 2022. However, we've been doing quite a bit of work. We were able to secure $200,000 in grant funding to be used for the fiscal year. And summer was a bit of planning. Fall is really where we've been underway and working on some of the projects that we want to begin. A lot of it will be done in the spring semester. Fall was really gearing up. We've worked with a lot of different folks on campus, so don't think it's just Tuktuk and myself making decisions. We've worked quite a bit with the Senates, both academic and classified, the unions, different folks from different groups, and we also will be including students in the conversation because, in fact, we do everything for students, right? That's our purpose. What I am reaching out to you is this specifically. On November 5th, from 2 to 3 p.m. via Zoom, I am asking the Academic Senate to recruit 7 representatives from the faculty to participate in focus groups that will be conducted by 2 external consultants. And what's the purpose of the focus group? Well, to tell your story as faculty representatives, and this includes faculty from all disciplines and all divisions, as well as full-time and part-time. So we want to be really specific because the purpose of PRT is to represent all employee groups from all disciplines and all experiences, because that's important. But I'm coming to you specifically as Academic Senate. What you'll be doing for the hour and a half on Zoom is just telling your story. Questions will be focused on specifically collegiality and your relationship to the campus, your experience on the campus, your experiences with one another at different levels. Because what will happen is a report will be compiled based on this focus group. There will be other ones, just so you know, conducted with classified staff only, management only, and students as well. And then that report will then be given to the team. Your names will not be in it. Other than me and Tuktuk, nobody else will know if you participate. Nobody else will know. So only we know who was participating, but we will not be in there. So we will not know what you say. So I want to also assure as much confidentiality as possible. So you're as open and honest and know that is as safe space as possible, and you will be amongst your faculty peers. And then that report will then help us design a climate survey, campus climate survey that will launch on Flex Day on January 7th. And so our hope is that we provide the best survey possible with this focus group, and these focus groups will also help us inform some of our programming that we want to start. So I will be asking Dr. Lopez to be sending out a link that either you or asking your division to participate on November 5th from 2 to 3 p.m. via Zoom. It would be incredibly helpful. If I get more than 7 that want to participate, awesome. I'll kind of go based on first come, first serve, because we do have a limit on how many. And just so you know, we're not just recruiting specifically from Senate. We've recruited from TABE, ALE, PCC John, CAPE, as well as the FA. So we've reached out to the FA asking for a certain number of representatives per. And so we just want to know that we want a really diverse representation. One other thing before I get to your question, Lyman, November 16th, save the date. We will be doing something called with the Lancer Care Pantry with Dr. Stevens, a stuffing party PC season, where we'll be coming together as employees on this campus to put together packages for our students for Thanksgiving themed holiday meal kits. And so we hope you come. It's fun. We're giving back, and we'll also be doing a competition of a food drive of sorts. So just keep an eye out. It'll launch on November 1st. Save the date, November 16th. It'll be lots of fun, and we're giving back. Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
So that went so fast. Am I trying to sell being on this focus group to my fellow math faculty, or are you asking me as a senator specifically, or us
I'm
as
asking
senators?
both. I'm saying that
Okay.
if as senators you're unable to, no problem. We need all voices. Sometimes we want to think about people that maybe aren't involved as much, and this is an opportunity. I think we always go to those that are involved, and they're sometimes in the know, but we want this opportunity to be for all. We also want you to consider your adjunct faculty too, because that's a voice that sometimes is a bit hidden. So I would say all. And if anybody has any questions, they can definitely reach out to me. I'm always open to answer questions to fellow colleagues.
Okay, thank you, Talene. We appreciate your hard work as well. Okay, and please remember to either sign up or have someone from your division sign up, because this is very important work that's being done. Next, we have Professor
Can we get a
Sheila
link
Rose.
to that? Can we get a link to that?
She's going to send the link to me, and I'll send it out to you all.
Thank you.
Okay, Professor Sheila Rose is going to talk to us about our academic Senate goals. In your board packet, there are also readings that will help you to reflect on this item. Professor Rose, you have the floor.
Okay, I'm sorry, Gina, I'm a little bit unprepared for this. I missed this item. So can you move to the next thing and then come back to me?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I had too many other things going on.
That's okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move, this is going to be quick, I think. We're going to move on to our committees and appointments. So item J, number 1, we have academic subcommittees. I'm going to ask if we can approve these 2 appointments by unanimous consent. If there are no objections, we can do that. Seeing no objections, we will approve these 2 members by unanimous consent. Awesome. And there are no shared governance committees that need appointments, but we do have a hiring committee. That's item number 3, excuse me, item J3. And I'm going to entertain a motion to approve David Ramirez for natural sciences for this committee. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Veronica.
Thank you. Thank you, Veronica. Do I have a second?
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, if there are no objections, I'm going to ask that we approve this by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Awesome, seeing none. David Martinez is appointed to this committee. And you know what? I missed something. And John didn't have to tell me, I caught it myself. We made the motion to approve these subcommittees as a block, but we didn't make the motion to approve the people. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve Melissa Anderson and Patrick McGee to these subcommittees? Susan Bauer, is that motion? Ken Simon, is that your second? Okay, if there are no objections, we can approve these members by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, these 2 committee members are approved. Awesome, thank you. Sheila, are you ready? If not, we can table this for another time. Okay, So Professor Rose, you have the floor.
Apologies, everyone. I'm having technical difficulties with my laptop and wasn't able to pull up the readings, but I am back in business. So I want to remind everyone that we have adopted very ambitious goals for our Senate for this year, including devising a liberatory outcome. And something that we wanted to bring to the Senate's attention was that we are exactly where we need to be in committing to this work, as our accrediting agency has also adopted similar goals related to social justice. So you have in your packet, and let me also put in the chat, the policy on social justice. It's in the chat now, that has been adopted by the ACCJC. So I would like you as a senator to read this, and also to please share this document with your constituents so that they can familiarize themselves with this policy, as we will be evaluated and during our next accreditation cycle on the extent to which we have achieved it. Fortunately, I think that we are going in the right direction with the commitments that we have taken, but I would also like, sorry, I need to stop sharing, like you to think about how we as a Senate can align with what has been outlined in the policy for social justice. We have a longer reading that is related to liberatory outcomes and how we can achieve them. I'm going to ask you to please read it before our next Senate meeting and consider how it aligns with our Senate goals. And we'll have time for a brief discussion at that meeting. Any questions related to the policy or to our goals?
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience with my tech challenges too.
Thank you, Sheila. We appreciate you. Okay, so that brings us to item K, proposed future agenda items. Are there any? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on to announcements. Are there any announcements? Dr. Stevens, I believe you had some announcements, and you feel free to share your screen.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry, I was just pulling up my notes. I'm going to email out the flyers to these, to the Academic Senate Executive Committee so they can share with all senators. But I'm just going to read my notes real quick. Lancer Care Virtual Center has more events and resources for students. We welcome all students to participate in the following. Give me 1 second. Okay. Lancer Care Distribution is in the main campus at Hill Avenue, entry roundabout near Freeman Career Center. Instead of coming to CC 211 to our door. So if people can direct students to come to the roundabout right in front of Career Center to pick up distributions of food. On days like today when it's raining, they could definitely come to the door because we're going to be inside with shelter so the student can get less wet as well as we can get less wet. But any typical sunny California day will be in the roundabout. Also, Lancer Care Pantry additional hours has been added. We now have Tuesdays, yay, Tuesdays 3 to 5 p.m. So now we're offering pantry pickup 5 days a week, Monday and Friday from 11 a.m. to 2, Tuesdays from 3 to 5, and Wednesdays and Thursdays from 11 a.m. to 1:30, as well as Wednesdays and Thursdays in the evening from 3 to 5 p.m. As Dr. Olivo shared, we have our mobile food pantry on Tuesday, November 2nd from 12 to 2 p.m. at the Lancer Pass. So please encourage people to come get food, as well as we are still recruiting and accepting students for PCC plus every table home meal delivery. So if you know of any students who may need food, please let them know. They can contact Lancer Care Virtual Center at our email, which is lancercareteam@pasadena.edu, or you can refer them through PCC Connect, or they can raise their hand through PCC Connect. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stevens. Are there any additional announcements, Professor Indor?
I was just wondering, is there a flyer for this?
Yes.
Okay.
If I can answer, yes, there's a flyer for all three, and I sent it out, and so I'll ask the executive board to share it out with all of you guys. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Okay, then you have a full 24 minutes of your life back, because we're at the part where we can adjourn the meeting. I need a motion to adjourn. Professor Indor, do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? Professor Menarek. Okay, we are adjourned. Have a great day. Stay dry, stay safe, stay healthy, stay warm. Thank you all for your participation. We appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye.